What is the worst place you had sex?
Outside on a blanket by a lake. Sounds romantic, right? The mosquitoes thought so too.
A construction site on a windy day. Sand and dust everywhere.
It was on the edge of a cliff, but it was such an awkward position that my knees hurt from being on the ground. The scenery was beautiful though.
Tool shed in the backyard of a house in Hawaii. Naked on my hands and knees going at it when my guy says, beep, and brushes something off my back. Feel something land on my forearm and see a huntsman spider as big as my hand scuttling down my arm and into the shadows. I scream and sit up and see the ceiling of the tool shed has even more huntsman spiders. Crawled out of there like Gollum and hid in the bushes. Made him bring me my clothes and shake them out hard before I took them from him.
The back of a Volkswagen.
Hot leather sofa. I'm still stuck to it to this day.
Beach. Sandy balls in box. Bugs in my ass. Dog turds close by. No thanks.
At my friend's place, after having 8 to 9 shots of vodka, we decided to bang each other. We removed our clothes quickly and got into cowgirl position. Couple seconds later I remembered she puked on the floor, and my back was lying directly on it. Didn't move from there until we changed positions. Good times.
At my so's house, in their garage, over the freezer, while their entire family is home.
In the pool, water is not a good lubricant.
In the woods, with about 50 young bulls that were very interested in everything that was going on. We sneaked in and out of that field about 3 times to try and shake them off, but as soon as you make a sound, they all come running over to watch, with no concept of personal space. We ended up making a barrier out of branches to try and hold them off, but the beep just broke right through it in seconds. It was like Shaun of the Dead, but the zombies only want to lick you instead of eat you. Have you ever been licked by a bull? It feels like someone stroking your back with a fish dipped in egg whites. I would say I'm never doing that again, but we went back probably 7 or 8 times. Luckily the cows were always distracted by some sheep in the next field. This is one of the many joys of having parents that don't knock before entering a room. Believe me, if I could not beep in front of a mooing audience, I would. Edit, just to clarify, the bulls were spectators, not participants, despite how hard they tried.
In the woods, the beep flying insects love to be up in your face.
A long time ago back at my club Penguin Igloo.
A public park. It was in high school, and it was like 6 a.m. There was no one there, at least, but still.
Not sure if it counts, but I once has a sleep paralysis. Wet dream. It was terrifying.
There's this one time during which my ex and I both got really horny in the middle of the countryside. We headed for a small forest, took a quick walk in it and did the deed in a small clearing. Sex was good, but while putting my clothes back on, I spotted this camo-painted hunting camera, that's triggered by movement. It was of course pointing at us the whole time. Let's just say that this poor guy lost his footage.
After a drunken night on 6th St in Austin, girl and I were walking down Red River Street. She drags me in this bushy grassy area. We go at it, finish, call an Uber to West Campus, continue going at it. The next day, we are super itchy, come to find later it was poison ivy, got it all over our genitals. Fun times. 10/10 would do it again though.
While sitting on a tree stump that was home to a colony of termites. That did not end well.
Bunk bed 100%. I've had one all my life, and let me tell you, when you're on top and going to town, you can't sit up or you smack the beep out of your head. She can't get on top 'cause she smacks her head. It's just a terrible beep time. Pun intended.
Disabled toilets in a zoo. Looked up to see 2 monkeys watching us through the window and wanking.
In the backseat of my car. We were parked out by a meadow one night and it was annoying because cars kept stopping, for whatever reason. Can't 2 people just pretend to watch the stars in peace?
My childhood house had an enclosed porch that was level with my parents' bedroom window. It's hard to explain. You couldn't see into the porch from the window, but if the porch windows were open and the bedroom windows were open, you could hear everything from either room. So my now husband and I were trying to have sex in that porch, having opened the windows 'cause it was hot AF. My parents usually never opened their window and it was past 10, when they usually went to sleep. We weren't trying to be loud, but apparently we were. After we were done, I checked my phone and I had 5 missed calls and a text from my mother saying we can hear everything and please at least use a condom. We didn't acknowledge it at the time, but my mom got drunk a few years ago and told my aunt the story and said she was worried she was hearing the conception of her grandchild.
I fingered a girl during midnight mass seated in a packed cathedral when I was 14.
Worst is in unpleasant, a beep basement apartment in Kingston, Ontario. Worst is in likely to upset people, 6-year-old nephew's nautical-themed boat bed. Same girl both times.
A campground shower. People came in the bathroom while in the throes and we had to just stand still like we were avoiding a raptor attack until they left because they otherwise would have heard the ball-slapping passion from behind a dinky stall door. Did I mention I was bent over, blood rushing to my head and water in my face? Still with the guy though. He's a charmer.
Bottom of cliff next to the ocean. Turns out I have an allergic reaction to coral and my back was scratched the beep up from it. It was windy, wet, and itchy. Runner-up as a movie theater.
3 a.m. leaving the club. Got lucky, but we didn't have the patience walk to one of our places. So we stopped walking home and did it in a park. Walked past the park the next day to see it was actually a graveyard. Cold sweat smile.
Why do people like car sex? It's awful, not comfortable, cramped and hot.
On a hike in a wildlife refuge. We went off the trail to a more remote area. Was all fun and games till I got stung on the dick. Was after the event had ended when I was briefly exposed. The little bastard went right at me. We joke about it regularly, I'd say it comes up monthly. Just out of the blue she will say, "Hey, remember when you got stung on your penis?" Yes, I remember and will never forget.
Lost my virginity in the middle of the woods. 0/10 would not recommend.
Sigh. I was 15. On my grandma's couch. She was across the room, between sitting and going back and forth outside to smoke cigarettes. And to make it even worse, it was anal. No, I'm not that disrespectful anymore, and that loser cheated on me many times. Sorry Mimi. Edit. Just to clarify, she didn't see it. We'd stop and act asleep under the blanket half naked until she went back out to smoke. Tears of joy, I'm so sorry.
Some guy's creepy basement in a sex swing.
I banged a kindergarten teacher in a janitorial closet. Not many positions you can do there, so some wall ended up being banged and the kids probably heard it, but you know construction repairs make sound. Miss totally shaved downstairs had to supervise it all.
In my dreams.
My wife once thought it would be cool to try and give me a hand job with a snowball on a trail in the woods once. Icy snow is scratchy.
The shower, without my glasses, head up to the shower head and my eyes being flooded with water while I'm getting bummed.
A porta potty at Coachella.
A treehouse that was actually a plywood shack on 6 stilts. It was pretty old and the plywood was splintery, so he laid down an old towel for me, you know, like a gentleman. Also it was too small for me to fit in any direction, so my head stuck out the door. I stared at the sky and just waited for him to be done. And that's the story of how I lost my virginity. A close second would be the bed in his semi-abandoned house full of the semi-abandoned hoarded belongings of his mother. But that's a different story.
In the dream I was having that made me come on the family couch accidentally and I had to clean up the mess real quick before anyone noticed.
I dated this girl in high school. Her aunt and uncle let us use their pool whenever we wanted, as their house was massive and they wouldn't even be able to tell we were there. Anyway, this girl was trying to get it on in their pool while her uncle was home. He trained with a certain UFC fighter that I will not mention, and I went along with it. Anyways, he saw and confronted us one night at a house party of his, telling me, "I don't approve," while he shakes a margarita with his buffalo-sized arms. That has to be the worst place for me.
Beep intense is beep intense. Seriously though, it was horrible.
Not me, but a friend of mine had sex with a girl in the helicopter of a McDonald's play place. He's never going to live that one down.
Prison shower.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to subscribe to Upvote for the best quality content every day.